A tragic case unfolds in Tampa, Florida, as an 18-year-old girl, Natavia Sanders, makes a desperate 911 call on May 11th. In a chilling voice, she tells dispatchers that she has just woken up after being strangled by her own mother. The dispatcher asks if her mother is still in the house, and Natavia confirms that she is. When officers arrive at the residence, they repeatedly knock on the door, but no one answers. They suspect someone is inside after hearing noises, but struggle to gain entry. After several minutes, the door finally opens, revealing 38-year-old Roti Syis, Natavia's mother. She appears reluctant to cooperate, even attempting to slam the door on officers. When police push their way in, she resists arrest but is ultimately restrained and taken outside. While she is placed in handcuffs, officers enter the home and make a grim discovery: Natavia is lying on the floor, unresponsive. They immediately recognize the severity of the situation and call for medical assistance. As officers begin questioning Roti, she initially states that she has only 3 children, listing their ages as 3, 4, and 9. However, her story doesn't add up. Officers can see that the unconscious victim is clearly much older than 9. When pressed further, Roti finally admits that she has 4 children and that the person being rushed to the hospital is, in fact, her daughter, Natavia Sanders. Meanwhile, officers discuss Natavia's condition, noting that when they found her, her eyes were fixed, and she showed little to no signs of responsiveness. Despite their efforts to obtain clear answers from Roti, she remains evasive. At one point, she refuses medical help but later requests treatment for minor injuries while being processed for arrest. 2 days after the attack, Natavia Sanders succumbs to her injuries at the hospital. With her passing, the charges against Roti Syis escalate. In addition to resisting an officer and aggravated battery, she now faces the most serious charge of all: first-degree murder.
Highlights the critical role of law enforcement in situations of domestic violence, where timely intervention can be a matter of life and death. However, Roti Syis' reluctance to cooperate with the police introduces a layer of complexity that raises serious concerns about the potential for further violence. It exemplifies the challenges that law enforcement faces in effectively addressing domestic abuse, where cooperation is often fraught with emotional and psychological barriers. Shifting focus to the realm of video games, it becomes evident how they can foster a cycle of compulsion that ensnares players and makes it increasingly difficult to disengage from gaming activities. This cycle can have profound repercussions, disrupting various aspects of everyday life and personal relationships. Consequently, there are growing concerns regarding the mental health implications associated with excessive gaming. This addiction can pave the way for a multitude of psychological issues, adversely affecting individuals' overall well-being and quality of life. In light of these concerns, legal actions are currently being pursued against the gaming industry, with a focus on the responsibilities of game developers. Critics argue that these entities often prioritize profit over the safety and mental health of their users, raising ethical questions about their practices. The woman's initial resistance to the police officer's requests raises significant concerns regarding her mental state. This, coupled with the gravity of the situation, necessitated that officers take physical action to secure the environment and ensure safety for all involved. Furthermore, the discrepancy in the number of children reported by the woman adds layers of confusion for the officers on scene, heightening the urgency of the situation. Such inconsistencies inevitably provoke questions about the well-being and safety of the children involved. As the situation unfolds, it is revealed that the woman has 4 children, which contradicts her earlier claims. The visual of her daughter being taken away on a stretcher only amplifies the emotional weight of the incident, leaving a lingering sense of tragedy. The initial refusal of medical assistance by Natavia further complicates the narrative, bringing into question both her mental and physical state during this harrowing encounter. Her insistence that she was fine placed officers in a precarious position, complicating their response. Tragically, despite the officers' earnest attempts to provide medical care, Natavia's situation deteriorated, ultimately leading to her untimely death. This harrowing outcome starkly emphasizes the critical need for thorough medical evaluation in the aftermath of police interventions. In the wake of her death, Natavia faced severe legal charges, including first-degree murder, reflecting the complex legal ramifications that stemmed from her actions during that chaotic incident. This scenario not only illustrates
The chilling psychology behind a mother's betrayal. Analyzing the motives of Roti Syis. The case of Natavia Sanders is not just a crime, it is a profound betrayal of the most sacred bond in human relationships, the bond between a mother and her child. To understand how a mother could allegedly strangle her own daughter, we must delve into the dark and complex psychology that may have driven Roti Syis to commit such a horrifying act. While the full truth may never be known, the fragments of her behavior and the circumstances surrounding the crime offer a glimpse into a mind unraveling under the weight of unimaginable pressures, secrets, or perhaps a hidden darkness. The mask of normalcy, a facade of stability. On the surface, Roti Syis appeared to be an ordinary mother. She had no prior criminal record, no history of child abuse, and no outward signs of instability. To her neighbors and community, she was just another parent raising her children. But beneath this facade of normalcy, something sinister was brewing. The absence of red flags in her past makes the crime even more chilling. It suggests that the violence was either meticulously concealed or triggered by a sudden, uncontrollable impulse. This duality is what makes Syis's actions so terrifying. It forces us to confront the unsettling reality that evil can hide in plain sight, even in the most seemingly ordinary individuals. The people we trust the most, those who are supposed to protect and nurture us, can sometimes harbor unimaginable darkness. The breaking point. A descent into madness. The details of what transpired in the hours leading up to the attack remain shrouded in mystery. However, the prolonged nature of the strangulation suggests that this was not a momentary lapse in judgment. Strangling someone to the point of unconsciousness and beyond requires sustained effort and intent. It is a deeply personal and intimate form of violence, one that often reflects a desire to exert absolute control over the victim. Next line. What could have driven Syis to such extremes? Was it a buildup of unresolved anger, resentment, or jealousy? Did Natavia, in her teenage independence, unknowingly threaten her mother's sense of authority or control? Or was there a deeper, more insidious motive, a secret that Natavia may have uncovered, one that Syis was desperate to keep buried? Syis's erratic behavior after the crime adds another layer of complexity. Her initial refusal to acknowledge Natavia as her child, followed by her eventual admission, suggests a mind grappling with guilt, denial, or perhaps even dissociation. Her bizarre statements and shifting demeanor could indicate a psychological break, a moment where the weight of her actions shattered her sense of reality. Her story has already shaken a community, but it can also serve as a catalyst for change. By shedding light on the hidden dangers of domestic violence and the complexities of human psychology, we can work toward a world where no child has to fear the person who is supposed to love them the most. Natavia's final words, whispered in the dead of night, echo as a plea for us all to do better, to protect the vulnerable. To confront the darkness within ourselves and others. And to remember that sometimes, the greatest monsters are not the ones we imagine in our nightmares, they are the ones we invite into our homes. Rest in peace, Natavia. Your voice will not be forgotten. The case of Natavia Sanders is one that will haunt Tampa for years to come. It is a story of betrayal, of violence in a place where there should have been safety. A mother and daughter, a home-turned crime scene, a young woman's final, desperate call for help. And the question that still lingers in the minds of those who followed the case, why? As the case heads to trial, prosecutors are determined to see that justice is served. If convicted, Roti Syis faces the possibility of life in prison. But for those who knew Natavia, no sentence will ever be enough. No courtroom verdict will bring her back. Her story is a painful reminder that sometimes, the greatest danger doesn't come from strangers in the night, it comes from the people we trust the most. What are your thoughts on this case? Please leave your comments below to join the discussion. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe to my channel to continue following me in the upcoming cases. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos. Disclaimer: great effort is made to ensure all materials in true crimes videos fall within the guidelines of fair use. No copyright infringement is intended. The content presented in this video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The content may discuss sensitive topics, and viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this video are those of the content creator and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated individuals or organizations. Please contact me by email crimestory060@gmail.com. Subscribe now and join us on this eye-opening journey.